This video is brought to you by Longoni Q's.
Hi pool players, it's the Terminator. Welcome back to another episode of Terminator Tips. As you can see, I'm on the road again, so it's time to do another road stories episode. So come and join me now for some crazy, bizarre, chaotic stories from the past that I want to share with you. Let's kick it right off with a crazy story in a match versus Tony Drago in the semi-finals of the Euro Tours many years ago. This was when we started introducing the tap template, so the balls were tapped and falling into the same position all the time. I was playing in Austria versus Tony. It was a heated match, a good match. The score was, I believe, 5-4 to Tony. I was coming back, semi-final, and I was running the rack. And I ended up on the final 9. The 9 was about this far from the corner pocket, and the cue ball came into the area where the tapped balls were laying. So you have all these little holes in the table. This is what happened. I got down on the shot. I'm lining up. The ball cannot be missed. As I pull back for my final stroke, at that moment in time, the cue ball wiggles in one of these holes. Whoop! So what happens is I fire the cue ball, but instead of hitting center ball, now because the cue ball went this way, I'm hitting it with maximum spin on the right. So I actually get it done where I get the 9 ball out of the pocket. I rattle it out of the pocket. You should have heard the crowd. Ooh, whoa, I was in full shock because this happened within half a second. Tony is a fast player. He got up to the table, made the 9, and I was standing there. I was in full shock. Of course, the first thing I did was protest, like, hey, this is outside interference. What's going on here? I got the tournament director. They said it's too late now. Loss of rack. It's down 6-4, and it kind of cost me the match because it took me another rack to get over this. Because I still felt maybe I could do something about it. I couldn't. It was absolutely crazy. And therefore now when you see me and the cue ball is like in one of those positions with tap balls, I'm always checking if the cue ball is starting to wiggle into one of those holes just to protect myself, because I don't want that ever happening again. Let's move on to the next story. About 12 to 13 years ago, we were at the World 8-Ball Championships in Fujairah, Emirates. The tournament was over. I believe I got to the semi-finals, rather successful tournament, and it was time to go home. I was traveling together with Johan Ruysink, who was the national coach at that time, and my wife, Catherine, was there. She was joining me for this event, and it was time to get into the shuttle bus with all the players. The shuttle bus wasn't really on time, and it was about a 2-hour drive. He showed up about 3.5 hours before our flight back to Amsterdam. All the players had to get on board. It was about 30-40 players, suitcases, luggage. So it was getting rather close. We had, I think, about an hour and a half, maybe at the most, if we would get to the airport. Well, this driver was also super slow, and he made a pit stop to get a cup of coffee. Now we're getting to the zone where it's about an hour in check-in time. We were trying to talk to the driver like, hey, please step on it. All these players need to get night flights. We got to get out of here. Well, he didn't. He was taking his sweet old time, and we got to the airport where we had 45 minutes before our flight was going to leave. So Johan, Kat, and me got out of the shuttle bus as fast as we could once we got there. We ran over to the check-in desk. We were just in time to make that, but now the fun really started. The sign on the screens already said boarding. We were running and we were jumping in front of lines to get to security, the scanners, the passports, and then we remembered we had to cross the entire airport, also a tunnel, and then up a lot of stairs just to get to the gate. When we got to that underground tunnel, I dropped all my bags and I told him I'm gonna make a sprint for it and I'm gonna try to hold the plane so we all can get on board. That's what I did. I ran up the stairs through the airport. I got to the gate and nobody was even boarded yet. Everybody was just standing there. But then Johan and Kat arrived. They were sweating. They ran with all the luggage, the backpacks, this and that. We're standing there, catching our breath, and Johan says, "Oh crap, I forgot my watch at the security, at the scanners." And we said, okay, so now what do we do? He says, "It's about a kilometer down there, kilometer back. I'm going to go for it." We couldn't stop him. He went because they were just about to start boarding. So my wife, Kat, and me are getting a little bit nervous now when we see all these people going on board and there's maybe 10 left and Johan isn't there yet. Well, he shows up at the very last minute. He's sweating like a pig. Exhausted, of course. We're the last 3 people standing there to get on the plane. He has his watch, and guess what? Johan says, "Here, Niels, here's your phone." I said, "What?" So not only did he forget his watch, apparently I had forgotten my phone down at the security because we were so stressed out and running and in a rush. I forgot my phone. This is prior to the smartphones, so we didn't maybe check them every whatever. So I didn't even notice that I was missing it. And Johan showed up after a 2-kilometer sprint with his watch and also my phone. And we made the flight. If you travel a lot, there's also situations that aren't very cool and sometimes even very sad. This happened during the European Championships 2017, I believe, in Veldhoven, Holland. We were stuck in a heat wave and I had found a camping close by with a lake and a beach where you at least could jump in the water and get some refreshment and beat the heat wave. Well, on this lake, from the beach, they had built a wooden platform with kind of a blanket on top of it to get some shade. It was very hot, so I positioned myself on the platform, chilled out, and to bury off this platform, they had made these iron wires, 2 of them, very thin, and the water there wasn't that deep. You had to walk into the lake a little bit to get up to your middle. And I was chilling out and there was a lot of people there, and all of a sudden on the left of me there was a family joining me, a dad, a mom, and 3 teenage kids. I was taking a nap, and after about 10 minutes I hear these really loud foot stomps, like boom, boom, boom. So I looked up and I saw this gentleman from the family walking towards the metal strips, the metal gate, those lines, and he was climbing over, which I found very strange because you weren't really allowed to do that, but he looked a little bit panicked. He was climbing over and he dove head first into the water. I saw this happening and I knew the water wasn't very deep there. So immediately I was looking like this is not a good idea. The man came up and he was just hanging in the water like this. I saw it, I got up, I jumped over the fence right away together with another man who also saw it. We grabbed the hold of this man because he was head first in the water and we tried to turn him around. He was a heavy-set gentleman. We got him around and immediately he was complaining about his head and his neck. His wife was also in the water. We carried him out towards the sanded area, and from there on it went like a light storm. There was another gentleman that ran over to the reception calling for the personnel. Of course, they came over. Then there was police cars, there was firefighter cars. Eventually a helicopter came in. There was scuba divers because the word got out that this man was still in the water. Scuba divers came out. They carried him out in a stretcher to, of course, protect his head. Got him in the helicopter. And I think within 45 minutes of the incident, the man was carried out, flown out of the park into the hospital. The saddest part of this story is that a few days later, I spoke to the personnel of the camping again after coming back. We heard that this man was fully paralyzed from the neck down. And actually a year later when I came back and asked again if there was any news about this gentleman, he had died. It's one of these stories that makes you realize even more how vulnerable we are and that we have to cherish the moments that we get to do what we love to do and that we can be with the cool people that we like and spend time with them also. The next story is from the US Open. This is one of the most bizarre things in a match that happened to me bad luck wise, like what are the odds wise. I was playing Keith McCready. This was the year when Keith McCready had a great run at the US Open. He finished third. I believe I was playing him in the final 16 of the winners round. We were in a very tight match. I think the score was about 9-9 in a race to 11. I was on a shot on the one ball, a long shot. I had the first chance in the game and I was chalking my cue. The cue ball was about this far from the corner pocket. It was all the way on the line, on the kitchen line, somewhere from the corner to the kitchen line. There was a few balls around it, and we were playing cue ball fouls only. Well, you can guess it, of course. I'm chalking my cue, and as I'm getting ready to get down on the shot, the chalk slips out of my hand and lands right in front of the corner pocket. Well, that shouldn't be that big of a deal because we're playing cue ball fouls only, and if the chalk just stays there or hits another ball, it's no big deal. Well, guess what? This chalk lands on the table and in one straight line passes about this much distance straight onto the middle of the cue ball. Well, I'm just standing there catching my breath. Keith jumps out of his seat and he says, "I don't think that's allowed, kid." Keith with the one-liners. And I'm like, oh no. Keith takes ball in hand, runs the rack, and breaks and runs out. That was incredibly heartbreaking because I was playing really good. I had the first chance to go up 10-9. Who knows, could have won the match, would have been in the final 8 of the winner's bracket. Now I had to battle back from the loser side. I think I got 7th or something. Still nice result, but it was amazing. The chalk just lands in front of the corner and in one straight line travels about almost 3 feet straight onto the cue ball, playing cue ball fouls only. What are you gonna do? There you go, pool players. I really hope you enjoyed that episode of Road Stories. Don't forget to check out all the other great content on this channel. There's tips and lessons here uploaded weekly. And if you're interested in the mental side of the game, don't forget to head over to Terminator College and check out all those courses that are waiting there for you. Take care.